AITA For going to work for a few days to teach my husband a lesson. Okay, I get the title sounds horrible, but hear me out. I have a 12 years old son and a 13-month-old. Before the pandemic I worked part-time, went to school part-time, and took care of the house/kids. When not doing the other two since the pandemic I became a stay-at-home mom still going to school, taking care of the house/kids. But now with school back in session and my son doing e-learning, I also help a lot with that. I have a pretty strict schedule that I keep for myself to allow me to get household chores and the schooling for my son and myself done each day. One day last week, I had a migraine. Nothing I did helped ease it. At some point after 3 p.m, after my son was out of school and baby was down for a nap, I laid on the couch to try and help the migraine, which did help. My husband came home while I was sleeping and was already in a crap mood and yelled at me that I didn't do anything all day except sleep, eat and get fat. I tried to explain to him I hadn't been feeling well and napped because of that. He said that was an excuse, and how would I like it if I went to work all day and he was home with the children and I came in and he was asleep on the couch. I said I would assume you were tired or not feeling well. Husband took a few days off work. I made arrangements with a friend to do temp work with her. I went to work for a few days, leaving him my daily schedule as a guide. The first day he called me 20 times because he couldn't handle my son's schoolwork, couldn't handle taking care of the baby, couldn't even go to the bathroom without one of them needing something. The second day, he called me 10 times with the same complaints. Both days he was asleep on the couch because he was exhausted from trying to keep up with the kids and housework. I went to work the third day. He showed up with the kids and dropped them off without saying anything to me or my friend. Luckily, my friend didn't mind. When I got home the third evening, he was asleep on the couch. I let him sleep. I mowed the grass, pulled weeds, cleaned up the house, made dinner. I tried to wake him for dinner. He refused to wake up, got the kids bathed and ready for bed before he woke up. Husband barely did the minimum of caring for the house and kids. While I worked, he said I did it to make him look like a shitty parent. I said no, I did it to teach you a lesson. That just because you don't see me actively doing something when you come home doesn't mean I haven't done anything all day. This all started because you refused to let me tell you I had a migraine and was just barely able to function that day. Luckily oldest knows what he needs to do for schoolwork, just sometimes needs some help with it. Baby is up at 7 but goes down for nap at 12. For a nap he sleeps 3 to 4 hours. AITA For trying to get husband to see what I do on a daily basis. Husband barely did the minimum of caring for the house and kids while I worked. He said I did it to make him look like a shitty parent. No. I didn't do it to make you look like a shit parent. I did it to show you you were being a shitty person to me. But apparently I'm not done. If you still haven't learned the lesson. He is a shitty parent and husband. I think he knows it and is worried that she will one day realize it and decided she's had enough. You husband needs to learn to appreciate what you do. He's being manipulative to get out of taking responsibility as a parent and is putting you down unnecessarily when you already have a huge load when it comes to your kids. To have the audacity to show up to your work because he doesn't want to deal with the kids anymore is a bundle of red flags on its own. Yes, he has a job. He knows how unprofessional it is for your son to just show up and dump your children at your place of work. He is a shitty father and a shitty husband if he can't take his wife's job seriously enough. You're in an emotionally abusive marriage. He has no right to call you fat. Also, you didn't do it to make him look like a shit parent. He is a shit parent because he couldn't do it. Get rid of him. Be happy. You seem to be more than capable of doing everything yourself anyway. Enjoy the alimony and child support payments his shit face will have to pay. If it were me, I'd have said sorry honey. The way you were criticizing me, I assumed you would have done better than me. I now know not to overestimate your abilities. Clearly parenting and housekeeping is far too difficult for you, but am known to be a passive aggressive at times. Wow. My first ever award. Thank you kind stranger. You didn't do it to make him look like a shit parent. He's chosen to be a shit parent and husband and you forced him to at least slightly understand that. The question is, what do you do now? Because spending the rest of your life with someone who treats you this way is not the answer. You didn't make him look like a shit parent. You just made him actually be a parent for once. As the only one who proved he is a shit one. NTA. The fact that after all that, he still can't find it in him to apologize, admit he was in the wrong, or make it up to you is worrying. He treated you like shit when he thought you had it easy. He treated you like shit when he found out that you didn't. How long can this last? I went to work the third day. He showed up with the kids and dropped them off without saying anything to me or my friend. Luckily, my friend didn't mind. Apostrophe. Seriously, what the hell? Question mark? Exclamation mark. How can he possibly think dropping the kids off where you are working is okay? On what planet would this be okay? And then he went home to take a nap? Question mark. You need to look into a divorce lawyer. Sugar. NTA. NTA. Wow. He could not even handle 3 days. It's not even like he had 2 small children to deal with. A 12-year-old is fairly self-sufficient. Honestly, why would you want to be with someone who called you names and treats you so poorly? NTA. You have 3 children. Just go be a single mom already and lose one of the kids. Apostrophe. Yelled at me that I didn't do anything all day except sleep, eat and get fat. Apostrophe. NTA. I'm surprised you are tolerating that type of verbal abuse, and I would highly recommend therapy and also a divorce attorney. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Kind strangers of Reddit. Update to clarify my position. Since several people are clutching their pearls at the mere mention of the D word, I would like to point out that I recommended a divorce attorney, not a divorce, for anyone experiencing spousal abuse, verbal, emotional, or physical. Simply thinking of your exit strategy can be overwhelming and scary. Speaking with a divorce attorney can do several things. 1. It can help you understand the laws of your state and the legal options available to you during the process. 2. It can give you a sense of timeline and understand how the process would work in the court system. 3. It can give you an understanding of the division of custody and marital assets. Armed with this information, you will be able to have better control over a situation should the need arise. You'd never berate someone for speaking with an investment advisor for information, or consulting a doctor for a second opinion. So I'm not sure why consulting an attorney to understand how divorce works should continue to be so stigmatized by society. NTA. Your husband is self-centered, and when you showed him how much it actually takes to run your household, he threw it all back on you and continued to gaslight you. NTA. This guy sounds like the sort who thinks that traditional women's work is easy and has no value because women are made to care for kids and clean. Okay, I might be somewhat assuming here. Still, you did the right thing to show him what your chores and work is all about. I hope he will learn his lesson. NTA. You are a saint for putting up with 3 children in your home, because I guarantee you that you take care of your husband like your other children. What he said about you resting was uncalled for and abusive. It doesn't matter how bad of a day he had. There is no reason for him to ever say to you, how would you have felt if you said those same words to your 12-year-old? You both have a communication problem and would benefit from learning how to listen to each other, either through therapy or books. NTA. But he sounds like he's mastering in gaslighting and being a dick. NTA. Divorce him. He's not a partner anyway. 100% yes. Info. What is he bringing to the table for you? How is he making you happy, helping you, or enriching you? This right here. These are the important questions. NTA. Your husband doesn't appreciate you enough. NTA. Why are you with this guy? NTA. You are married to a dick. NTA. You proved your point naturally. NTA. But I have to wonder about your relationship because it sounds like you're married to an abusive pose. Looking forward to her update in a few months. I realized I was being disrespected and mistreated and divorced my husband and am really happy now. NTA. He said you did it to make him look like a shit parent. I hope you know that to every commenter on here. He doesn't look like a shit parent. He is a shit parent. who doesn't appreciate you, can't handle the heat, and still has the audacity to fight for whatever reason. I'm not saying divorce, but he needed this kick in the ass, and either he can learn from it, or continue to be an unappreciative ass. And you gotta ask if you're gonna be happy to keep fighting this man for basic respect. NTA, you gave him a valuable lesson in just how much you actually do for your family. After walking a few miles in your shoes he couldn't manage, and instead of apologizing for his behavior he decided to try to make you the bad guy. He needs to grow up and appreciate exactly how hard you work, whether he's there to see it or not. NTA also why are you with this guy and tolerating someone who doesn't contribute in the ways he should as a parent? If anything, by dropping your kids off whilst you were at work of all places shows he isn't interested in taking responsibility and cares about his own free time more than yours. You deserve better. I divorced my ex precisely for doing shit like this, and he never called me names. I would have been out much sooner had he done that. Life is too short, my dear, to be spent with someone who is not your partner. NTA. Info. Why are you with this guy? Question mark. Does your husband have any redeeming qualities? NTA. Take a little time to think about your relationship. This doesn't seem like you're being treated fairly or with respect. Can this be worked through? Are you okay with it? Obviously not, or you wouldn't have come here. Do you think your husband is ever going to be open to a conversation about what you do on a daily basis and how you keep the household running? NTA. There's a song called Mr. Mom that is a pre-covered version of this. NTA, but your other half is a massive one. Why are you putting up with his appalling behavior? Nope. NTA. He lasted 2.5 days. Maybe he'll think twice before he opens his mouth and inserts his foot in it again. If there's an award for best NTA, you just won it. Wow. NTA. Please leave a sad excuse for a father and husband. I was appalled the whole time. He seems very selfish, and you didn't make him look like a crap parent. He is a crap parent. Please leave him. NTA. He made himself look like a shit parent and a shit husband all on his own. NTA at all. There's actually a fairy tale based on the same concept. It's called The Cow on the Roof. Apostrophe. Your husband called you 30 times in 2 days and didn't even last the third one. The appropriate response would have been to apologize and sit down with you and offer to do more. Not pouting and getting angry. I'd probably divorce him if I were you. Especially since his language is quite abusive. NTA. Holy cow. You have a horrible sexist husband. You should divorce him immediately. This man is extremely toxic and clearly has a double standard. NTA. Seriously need to reevaluate this relationship. He's abusive and out of touch. You deserve much better. NTA. The bad news is that he is so selfish that he still does not get it. He thinks that you somehow manipulated the situation to make him look bad. Somehow, he has turned the story in his head that his failure is your fault instead of realizing that he did not fail. He was just set up with a very dauntingly hard task. Why is this a question? Of course you are not the R. He is being a shit parent and trying to blame it on you who is doing all the work. I'm surprised you don't have any more complaints about him being a dick to you. But if you do, you should get financially prepared for a messy divorce. If this is a one-off instance, wait for the Ashap to calm down and try and talk some damn sense into him. You do you, and try to preserve your relationship. NTA. Honestly, why do you even put up with this BS? You deserve so much better than that asshole. I hate to be that guy, but he sounds verbally abusive. You can do so much better than that. NTA. He thinks being a parent is easy. The house and parenting just magically does it himself. He couldn't last a week without having to call you 10 times, and then he just surrenders. NTA. Where do men like this come from? Did they fall into a time warp in 1953 and pop out here? Think about what you are asking. Your husband treats you so badly that he makes you think you are an asshole because he had to be a parent to his own children. You deserve so much better, mama. NTA. Did you ask your sleeping husband if all he did was eat, sleep and get fat? I would not have been able to resist. Also, he's a shit parent and a worse husband. If I were you, and he still treats everything you do as invisible, I'd be seriously re-evaluating the relationship. NTA, you don't have a husband or co-parent, you have a negative, unkind, deadweight. NTA, but your husband sucks and treats you badly. NTA, serves him right, although you'd have been totally justified in telling him that it didn't look like he'd done anything all day except sleep, eat and get fat when you came home to a dirty house, children at your friends and him asleep on the couch. A little compassion goes a long way. NTA, but it looks like you have much bigger problems than the issues of leaving his own children with him. He sounds extremely selfish, obtuse, and resentful of you. He needs to address his issues, because it looks like he didn't actually learn anything. It looks like he doesn't want to learn anything. What do you plan to do? NTA, but it appears your husband has not absorbed the lesson. NTA, your husband though is. How can you be with someone so unkind to you? NTA, dude, you'll need counseling. This is beyond the scope of this sub. Your husband is such an ass for what he said to you. NTA, and I really feel for you. Being with someone who is offended by being told about their own actual behavior is the worst. I would say you should definitely leave this guy, but I also know it's not that easy when you have kids and a certain financial situation. I hope you get it figured out and stop taking shit from this guy. NTA, no better teacher than experience, and you just schooled him hard. If he responded like that because you didn't do as much as normal while in the middle of a migraine, he needed a massive reality check. You can't perform 100% every single day without fail. You will have off days and few things throw a day off like a migraine. You don't work through a migraine. You wait it out or hopefully have some tricks to mitigate it. If he thinks that your work as a SAHM is not both valuable and beneficial to him too, you are perfectly entitled to disabuse him of that notion. I'm a little skeptical about this post. It just seems over the top. The guy's clearly a jerk and incompetent, yet the op is asking if she's tar. Also dropping the kids off without saying anything? Question mark? That doesn't even make sense and could have been dangerously negligent. I mean, maybe if this was in relationship advice, but in AITA? Question mark? The only reason I would say that you are tar is because you actually allowed him to drop the kids off to you at work. I would refused and sent him right back out with both those children. And I certainly would not have let him sleep every afternoon, since he clearly had a huge issue with you taking a nap. NTA, she didn't know they were dropped off. She said not even her friend realized. At least that's how I read it. NTA, that is absolutely the appropriate way to deal with him. You let him figure it out for himself. NTA, and how do you think he would have responded if you dropped the kids off at his work? Info, does he yell at you and degrade you in front of the kids? If so, leave him. If not, also leave him. Of course you're NTA, you know that. Your problem is you allowed for an incredibly unfair relationship to develop between your husband and yourself. So much so that you skate over his disrespect and insults, as if it's normal to be spoken to and treated this way by a loved one. Was he always an asshole? Were you always a martyr? The 3 days of him suddenly having to do the work of a parent and partner resulted in no learning or growth on his part. It fell flat for him. What about for you? Ask yourself if this is a type of family you want your children to grow up in. And if not, take action with your husband to change it, with him or against his will. You owe it to yourself and to the future adults you're raising. NTA, he sucks and what he said to you was pretty abusive. NTA opus, he's lucky that's all you did. Absolutely NTA, your husband sounds like a self-centered dick. NTA, eat, sleep, and get fat. Your husband is something else. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.